It's been a long time since I've been on here. As you can see from the title of the video, my husband and I have been trying for baby number 2. If you don't know, we already have a beautiful, healthy, amazing 20-month-old daughter named Charlotte, and we just couldn't be more obsessed with her. So we have started trying for number 2. We've been trying since March. Still haven't gotten pregnant, but that's actually why I wanted to do this video. So I guess let's jump right into it. It was the end of May. My husband and I had been trying to conceive for a couple months already, and May rolled around. It was the next time for me to start my cycle and start tracking ovulation and all of those things. So we timed everything out. We gave it the good old gung-ho try, and I had been testing and I hadn't really felt like any symptoms. When I was pregnant with Charlotte, I almost immediately just knew I was pregnant. I could just tell something was different with my body. I could just feel that things were different, and I just knew from the moment of conception basically that I was pregnant. This time around, I didn't really feel any different. I wasn't getting any symptoms. I didn't have any breast tenderness or anything, and that was really my first sign when I was pregnant with Charlotte. And I was taking these tests every single day during the 2-week wait, and they were all coming back negative. So that was the end of May. Fast forward to the first week of June, and I actually had to fly to Orlando for a convention for work. So flew out to Orlando. At that point, I was totally fine with the fact that we didn't get pregnant. I, had taken all of these tests. It was, I think at that point, it had been like 12 DPO, 12 days past ovulation, and I was still getting negative pregnancy tests. So I was just like, okay, didn't happen this month, not a big deal. I was at the convention for a couple of days. I was actually supposed to start my period while I was there, and the day that I was supposed to start, I didn't. I was like, that's weird. I've been taking all of these tests. They're all negative. I'm usually like clockwork on my cycle. Like I start the exact day that I'm supposed to start based upon all my apps and everything. Sorry, my eye is watering like crazy. I'm not crying. And I didn't start. So I was like, that's really weird. I was in a Disney World hotel. I looked, they did not have pregnancy tests. So I actually ended up Amazon Prime Nowing pregnancy tests to my hotel room like the 3rd day out of the 5 days that I was there. And I said, I'm just gonna, take another test. I'm gonna see what's going on. So they delivered the pregnancy tests. I took one, I left it in the bathroom, and I said, I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna wait the full 3 minutes or however long you're supposed to wait. And went into my room and, was doing whatever else I was doing. And so I went back into the bathroom. I took a deep breath. I looked at it, and there were 2 lines. And in my head, I was like, how is this possible? Like, how is this possible? I've been taking all of these tests. It was 12 DPO at that point. Like, you feel like you should see a positive pregnancy test at that point. And even then it was negative. Now it's like 15 DPO and I'm getting my first positive. It was a very, very faint positive line, but as they say, any line is a positive. So I immediately called my husband. I started feeling a lot of different emotions because I think it was the first point that it felt really real that we were going to have 2 babies and not just 1. I started feeling emotional about my daughter not being an only child anymore, not having all of my attention. So it was this weird just roller coaster of emotions, and I was alone in Orlando. Granted, obviously my husband was talking to me over the phone and we were texting and all of those things, but I was supposed to be there for work. I was completely sidetracked, and I didn't really have anybody moment to moment to kind of bounce my feelings off from. And I had so many feelings. The pregnancy test that I took at about, I want to say 9 a.m. And I think that was a Wednesday. I was supposed to leave the following day on Thursday. So I took the pregnancy test in the hotel room at about 9 a.m. on Wednesday, and went through the day having all of these crazy emotions. I went to Disney World. I just like walked around the park by myself and just started thinking about, you know, all of these great adventures we can go on as a family of 4 and taking the kids to Disney World. Just, again, so many crazy emotions. And then I came back to the hotel room probably about, I want to say 6:30 or 7 o'clock that night, and I went to the bathroom and there was blood. There was a lot of blood. Like, it wasn't just like a little bit of spotting. It was like my period had full on started. So this literally happened in the course of like 10 hours in one day. I went from this crazy high of, oh my gosh, we're pregnant, we're having another baby, to realizing what was going on, which was I was having a chemical pregnancy. For those of you who don't know, a chemical pregnancy is just a really, really, really early miscarriage. So a lot of times women have chemical pregnancies and they don't even know that they were ever pregnant, because they don't even, you know, it doesn't even seem like they skipped a period, because typically what happens is the period comes a day or 2 late and it's just really heavy, and it usually lasts longer than a normal period. So if you're not taking pregnancy tests every single day like a crazy person like me, then you probably would never even know that you were pregnant. You would have never received a positive pregnancy test. So I had known what a chemical pregnancy was, and realized that I was going through one, because I ended up taking another pregnancy test that evening, and it came back with a fainter line than even that morning. So again, like, all of this happened in the course of just hours in one day. And it was really odd. After I found out that I was miscarrying, I called my husband. We kind of talked through it. In the moment, I didn't cry. I didn't think that I was that upset, and I didn't really think that it was impacting me as much as I realized later that it had. It was just kind of like, okay, this wasn't really ever a viable pregnancy from the beginning, and it is what it is, and it's fine. That's kind of the reason that I wanted to do this video, because I immediately went online. I started trying to find forums to look at other people's experiences. I went on YouTube to see if there were other people who had gone through chemical pregnancies and were feeling the way that I was feeling, which was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't even know how else to explain it. And really, when I looked through all of that, I couldn't find anything that matched the way that I was feeling. It seemed like it was just like really, really far on one end of the spectrum. It was either like there's no information about chemical pregnancies and how women feel and their emotions about that, or it was women who are having a really, really, really hard time with it, because either they've had several other losses, or you know, they've been trying for years and years and years, or just their situation was very different than mine. And so I found myself in a place where I was like, well, I shouldn't be able to feel this bad about this, because I'm not these women. When I started trying to get pregnant with Charlotte, it took us one try and we were pregnant. I was fortunate enough to have a very healthy, normal pregnancy with her. I delivered her. She was perfect and healthy, and I was healthy. And, you know, going into this time of trying again, granted, we had been trying for a couple of months, but literally only a couple months, and I got pregnant again. It obviously didn't stick, but I got pregnant. And so I was just going through all of this thinking, it's not fair for me to feel upset. I can't cry about this. I can't get depressed about this, because like, I don't have a right to. There are so many other women who have experiences that are so much worse than mine. I don't have a right to feel this way. And that's kind of how I left things that night. I just kind of like bottled everything in and said, like, I'm not allowed to feel this way, so I need to just get over it and move on. And I tried doing that for quite a while. For the next couple of weeks, I thought about it every single day. I still think about it every day. But I just didn't really allow myself to have any emotion about it. I didn't allow myself to show any emotion. As that was happening though, I started realizing that I was actually getting depressed, like pretty depressed about it. The next month, when it was time for my husband and I to try again, I was terrified. It was weird. It was like half of me wanted to try again because, you know, like, okay, let's do it again. Let's leave all of that behind us. Let's start new. And then the other half of me was thinking, I don't want to do this again. I was afraid. And so it was just this weird few weeks. I just felt depressed and sad and angry. I was really moody, and I didn't really want to admit the fact that it was because having a chemical pregnancy really affected me a lot more than I thought it had. So it took a long time in that it took, you know, a few months. I feel like I'm now in a really good place. I know that I am one of many that this happens to, and it's totally normal. However, as we've been continuing to try, it has been really difficult to not blame myself every month that we try and we don't get pregnant. And those same feelings have continued to creep up every single month that we haven't been successful with conceiving. Every single thing that I am doing with my body, I feel like I'm contributing to not getting pregnant. So whether it's, you know, not sleeping long enough or sleeping too long or having too much caffeine or eating too much chocolate, like every single thing, I'm just feeling like it's my fault that I'm not pregnant yet. I have to believe that that is really relatable for people who are trying to get pregnant and trying to conceive. That every single month that goes by that you're not pregnant, you are questioning every single thing that you do every day and blaming yourself for not being pregnant. I guess if anything, I wanted to do this video so that somebody else who's like me and who's in the situation that I'm in or that I was in knows that they're not alone. Like I said, I tried to find people who were experiencing the same types of emotions that I was and ended up feeling like I wasn't allowed to, because I'm very fortunate and I haven't had, you know, as hard of a time as anybody else. But I think somebody said this to me a while ago. It's stuck with me. It's that you can't compare yourself and your emotions to anybody else, because just because you don't have it as bad as someone or as good as someone doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid and doesn't mean that they're not real. So if there's anything that you take away from this, it's that just because your experience isn't the worst experience there is doesn't mean that you don't get to feel sad or you don't get to feel unhappy. You should have a right to feel those emotions and know that there are other people who are going through the same thing and probably don't feel comfortable expressing their emotions either. So yeah, I hope that this helps you, or you share it with somebody who might be going through the same thing and maybe they don't really want to talk about it. I guess I need to start following my own advice, which is don't blame yourself. I'm still working on that one. But yeah, don't blame yourself. Talk to people and know that you're not alone and that your feelings are real and valid. And I hope that this helps at least one other woman out there going through the struggles and the frustrations of trying to conceive. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I will be getting back on a good cadence for videos. I think this is like my 4th video total ever, and I do want to start doing this regularly. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and you'll be seeing more from me soon. Thanks guys. Bye.